Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome back. Apologies for being a little bit late today. Actually, made some last minute adjustments to the show because we need to talk about this Jesus painting that was sold at Mar-a-Lago. Now, I could not even believe this. And then after this, we'll get into the mold apocalypse number 6. But Trump, wow, Freudian slip there, right? Trump just sold a Jesus painting on New Year's Eve for charity, of course. So we've got to talk about this because I think the timing of this painting was intentional, because New Year's is the false New Year's, isn't it? It's the false New Year's. What are you talking about, Casey? Well, January 1st is not the true new year. It's the true new year for the sun god, for Janus, the two-faced god, January, but it is not the true biblical new year. Now, let's double down on this and break this down. First of all, Jesus turned the money tables over. So the last thing he would want is for us to sell a graven image of him, even if it was for charity. What he would want us to do is to interact with people, to have love, forgiveness, and kindness, to help people, to give hugs, and to feed people, instead of selling a graven image of himself, which likely most of the money won't even go to the charity. It'll be written off on somebody's taxes, and they'll get a tax break. Now, all this fits into the mold apocalypse segment we're going to do today about money, because it is about money today. But let's keep going with this, because the timing of this painting was significant. First of all, that does not look like any kind of Jesus that I know. It almost looks alien, doesn't it? New Year's. Now, if you think I'm just making all this up, a lot of people believe that the true New Year is either 9/11 or April 1st. Let me go into the chat, and then I'm going to show you something that's going to blow your mind. Most people believe that New Year's is either 9/11 or April 1st. So how many of you believe that New Year's is April 1st? Let's see. Let's do a poll. Let's do a poll. Then we'll get into this. This is insane, you guys. Start a poll. Okay. Do you believe that New Year's is April 1st? Now, there's no right or wrong answer here. I'm just trying to get a feel for this so you guys know how prevalent this belief system is. Okay. So about 90% of you believe, 92% believe it's April 1st. Okay. And some of you believe it's September 11th, which is what I believe. Now, again, there's no wrong answer here, but we'll just assume that the rest of you believe that 9/11 is the true new year. That's actually the Ethiopian calendar New Year is on September 11th. But here's where things get creepy. All it took was a little bit of research. This is the artist. I looked her up. Vanessa Harabuena is the artist. Here she is. And guess when her birthday is? She does all kinds of Jesus paintings. Here's one right here. Guess when her birthday is. You guessed it. April 1st. The true new year, according to 90% of you. This is unbelievable, right? Well, it's believable if you understand how the Matrix works and how spiritual warfare works. Now, why do people believe April 1st is the new year? Well, in Europe, before calendar reforms, the new year was celebrated in spring with dates like March 25th or April 1st, making the start of a new cycle. So now there are also biblical reasons as to why people believe April 1st was the new year. There was also an ancient ceremony called the washing of the lions, and it was essentially the first April Fools to make fun of Jesus. They would literally wash lions. Jesus was the Lion of the tribe of Judah, and of course, washing of the lion would be mocking Jesus' baptism, right? So let's look that up. April Fools, washing of lions. So this wasn't that long ago in history, the washing of the lions. This was in London. (1698). So making fun of Jesus, the washing of the lions. I'll put a link to this as well for you guys. So this was intentional. Now, if the true New Year was 9/11, like it is celebrated in Ethiopia, that makes this even more cryptic, because that would mean this is a Christ crucifixion ritual. 9/11 was a Christ crucifixion ritual. What am I talking about? All of the streets of Lower Manhattan, including the reflecting pool, the 9/11 memorial, are aligned to 119 degrees. If I was to open up Google Earth right now and pull out the measuring tool, you would see that all the streets in Lower Manhattan and the reflecting pool, the former footprint of the Twin Towers, are aligned to 119 degrees. That's 9/11 backwards. So it's as if they all knew. Those streets were built hundreds of years ago. But yet we're supposed to believe in 2001 on 9/11 that they were hit by planes and fell down. The two towers represented the two thieves at the crucifixion. In between them, building 7, that's representing Jesus. They all fell down. And in its place, they constructed a One World Freedom Tower, which is a sulfur molecule. Sodom and Gomorrah, an anti-prism. Smashed everything together in one. You could call it a unisex building. The combination of all the sin of man into one, erasing and forgetting Jesus' sacrifice and belief in him. That was the goal. It was a crucifixion ritual. Now, there's a lot more to it, but symbolically, that's what it was about. They were turned to dust. Remember, Jesus used the dust. He spit in it and helped a blind man see trees. Also, the dust was cursed. Jesus undid the curse of the dust by being crucified. So when they turned the buildings into dust, that was ritualistic, bringing back the sinful dust. That's what it was. I'm 100% sure. So, creepy, right? Now, let's keep going. Let's get into this mold apocalypse number 6. What are we going to talk about today? Well, if you can believe this, the dollar bill, the roots of the dollar bill came from a fungus called a thallus. And the fungus grew on trees. Yes, money really did grow on trees. Let's play this. Also, there's a part in here where I talk about the god Pan, which is appropriate too, because he was the god of the forest, right? And the god Pan, there's a statue of him at Mar-a-Lago, and it was tweeted out by Melania Trump years ago. Fortunately, we screen captured that and documented it. Yes, the god Pan is at Mar-a-Lago. I don't know if they took it down since then, but she tweeted it out, and it was like a Where's Waldo moment, and we saw it right there in the background. Let's take a look, you guys. Now, I want to switch gears a little bit here, because I did some research into the dollar, because I wanted to find out the oldest roots of the word dollar. We'd done videos on this years and years ago, and found out that the dollar and the original wording of the dollar came from the Jochmannsdollar, which was German. It was the first use of the word dollar And of course, Joachim is Joachim and Boaz, right? The two pillars of Freemasonry. And so these were the original meanings of the dollar. And I took it back another level because I wanted to see what else I could find about the dollar. And here's what I found. And this is, okay, so you heard that, right? The dollar are the two pillars of Freemasonry, which of course is based on the Twin Towers. That is the sorcery, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. This is the dimension we're locked in. And Jesus freed us from that with the crucifixion, which had the two pillars of duality, the two thieves at his side, and he demolished it. Do you see all the metaphors here? I hope you're understanding this. I know it's early, but I hope you're understanding this. He demolished the curse of the dimension we're stuck in, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. The thieves represented trees or pillars. He brought it all down. He said, look in the middle. Stop the right and left. Stop the red and blue. Stop the immigrant citizen. Stop competing. Stop the capitalist system that pits you against your brother and sister that was created by the enemy to separate you from your brother and sister. Stop worrying about what's his and what's mine and gathering up and storing riches for yourself, thinking you're getting ahead of somebody else. Because that was designed by the enemy to remove you from loving your brother. One of the commandments. Love others as yourself. Wow, right? 10 commandments. Why do you think the Twin Towers are 110 stories each? They broke the tablets. They broke the tablets of the 10 commandments and turned them into dust. 110 stories each, 10 commandments each. It was ritual. Let's keep listening. This is all ties in together. Crazy. The dollar, or thaler, T-H-A-L-E-R, which was the original use of it to describe the first money ever made basically in Germany, goes back to this word, thallus. Dollar is thallus. Now, what is a thallus? A plant body that is not differentiated into stem and leaves and lacks true roots and a vascular system. Thalli are typical of algae, fungi, lichens, and some liverworts. So here's what the thallus is. It's basically a flat, greenish looking object, which is probably why they named it after that. And it basically lives out of the air, pulling nutrients and things out of the air. Let's go to Encyclopedia Britannica and look a little bit closer at this. Plant body of algae, fungi, and other lower organisms formerly assigned to the obsolete group, Thallophyta. There are filaments or plates of cells and ranges in size from unicellular structure to a complex tree-like form. Let's take a closer look at this. Doesn't that look like a dollar bill to you? It sure does to me. And I think this is what they were getting at with this. Now let's keep reading because there may be other things that are revealed here. It is a simple structure that lacks specialized tissues typical of higher plants, such as stem, leaves, and conducting tissue. Just below this article is mycelium, fungus filament. This is like the mycelial networks that they talk about, of these things communicating with each other through an invisible network. Whoa, look at this, a fairy ring. This is how the hyphae grow. Whoa, let's keep listening here. There's a video of mycelium here. Look at that. So this is the world of fungus. And now that you know that your dollars are based off of a fungus, what ramifications does that have in our world? Now, what else is going on here? Here's more descriptions of the word thal, T-H-A-L.
a simple plant body with undifferentiated root, stem, and leaf.
Whoa, Talmud. Whoa. Okay, let's keep listening.
So now this is a whole nother rabbit hole that we could go down, that I could dig into, about the origins of the dollar.
Whoa, metallic. Talc.
Now, I had posted something on the community page a couple days ago about these bots that have been coming onto the channel. Now, they don't just come into our channel, they go into everybody's channel, but YouTube's allowing it to happen. And the way that it goes is that these bots come in, and I think they're just cataloging everybody. You guys, you can either be part. So, those are my feelings on crypto. Now, got a couple more things here. I was digging and digging and digging, and I could not find this post by Melania Trump on 4/4/2015. This was just before the election. This is her official Twitter page. And here she is out on the patio. Tea time on my patio. This is at Mar-a-Lago. And here we have the demon, Pan, the hooved god, the Pied Piper, half goat, half man.
Whoa, he even has horns. There's literally demons at Mar-a-Lago. Wow, let's keep listening.
And in this case, half baby, the Pied Piper, leading people down to the path of destruction, right there on the patio of Mar-a-Lago. Unbelievable. So, April 4th, 4/4. Now, what else do I have here? One of you reminded me of this Deltron 3030 album, switching gears here.
Okay. Well, that was it. I will put a link to this. Let's see. Do we have time for one more? Yeah, we have time for one more in the Mold Apocalypse series. Let's see here. Which one are we on here? Fungicide. Oh, this is The Last of Us. Let's go to this one.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Wow, a couple of minutes ago, as I was in the chat with you guys right now, my ears just started like ringing like really bad. That it somehow predicted the COVID epidemic. Shooter, or it's being perpetrated. It's to make you confused about the source of something. And this is why so many people go into New Age, for instance, because a lot of the New Age mimics God's holy things in God's way. And so people get confused. And this is how the devil does it. It's the perfect, he's like a mimic. It's the perfect cover for the devil. Now, let me check in with you guys, and then we'll get into this decode. This is unbelievable. Man. Now, I thought it would be appropriate to start today's decode with a clip from a different movie called Contagion. And you all remember this movie because everybody was pointing to this movie saying that it somehow predicted the COVID epidemic. Well, there's something that everybody missed. Let's see if you can see it.
The bottom right, you can see the dark green is pig and the light green is bat. And here you can see the crossover event, bat, and pig, bat.
Behind the monitor, a picture of Hydra. Now, I know these aren't actual Hydra, but it's the form of a Hydra. And I looked all over the internet. I don't know what this actual organism is. But understand that a Hydra is an indestructible organism. It infects and mind controls its hosts. Now, it's a bit different than a fungus, but they communicate much in the same way as fungus do, like a hive mind. Now, fungus uses the mycelial network. It's an invisible network of, I guess you could call it almost like veins, like earth veins. Goes underground. They can communicate long distances underneath the ground. And Hydra are similar because they can regenerate and duplicate their DNA, and they can grow copies of themselves. Even if a limb is severed off, they can grow it right back. Kind of like how fungus just keeps growing. Now, what would a Hydra have to do with the movie Contagion? Well, we've been talking about that, haven't we? Let's keep watching here.
And we've sequenced the virus and determined its origin, and we've modeled the way it enters the cells of the lung and the brain. And the virus contains both bat and pig sequences.
Now, back to the Last of Us TV series. And the series is about this girl Actually, she dies pretty quick in the series, but it starts out with this girl here. And as she's going off to school, the fungus is spreading unawares to the people who have not been infected yet. And this is her grandmother sitting in a chair. And mysteriously, she regains her ability to walk after a fungal infection. And you can see her in the background here as she begins to become infected. She starts to zombie out. Now, of course, the first to notice are always the animals, aren't they? They're the ones that sense this infection in people or this change in people. And this is what I believe the cats will do. The cats will be the most sensitive to this. They will begin to sense the changed people and attack their owners, and it will be unexplainable. Nobody will know why this is happening. And many of you have personally known people or heard stories in social media. It's really hard to search these things when when you're doing research on this kind of stuff. Because I did a search. I'm like, animal mysteriously attacks the owner, or a cat scratches his owner mysteriously. Because what we need to look for are trends in this, don't we? We need to see if this is happening on a wide scale. And the only thing that the internet allows you to pull up are anecdotal evidence here and there. But there's nowhere you can go. Like, you can't go to like Facebook and search, my cat scratched me or something. So they're suppressing this information. But many of you have shared stories of people that you know where their animals mysteriously treating them like they don't know them anymore. And so we're starting to see this kind of thing play out in these films. And of course, we know that this is about disclosure. So they're doing this. They're showing us what's happening or what's going to happen as part of spiritual law, so that God's people are not left in the dark. God puts a requirement on the enemy that they essentially show you what is going to happen before it happens. Now, we saw this in the movie, what was it, with Adam Driver? It was a zombie movie. Remember that one that happened in 2019? The cats started scratching people that were infected. And in this film, they're showing the same thing. The dog is freaking out on the grandma. He's looking at her like, what the heck has happened to you? Now, tomorrow's show is a show you're not going to want to miss. Because if you think we're crazy for looking at films and seeing things before they happen, or thinking that they're showing us things before they happen, then tomorrow's show is a show you're not going to want to miss. Now, why do I say that? Because tomorrow's show is called The Sixth Day. It premiered in the year 2000, and it stars Arnold Schwarzenegger. And in that film, there is a clone of Arnold, two Arnolds, twin Arnolds, and they sit there and they fill 2 aluminum canisters with aluminum. And then they light it, and it melts steel right through a table. Twin aluminum towers melted with steel, melting steel. 9/11 even appears in the film.
So, do you see how supernatural this is? I wasn't even going to watch this second episode, but lo and behold, it all ties into everything we were already talking about today. The 9/11, the aluminum towers. Let's keep listening.
Many times. So we're going to show you that. Now, of course, it's too late. I mean, I can't even say that, had we decoded that film in the year 2000 when it came out, had we had the knowledge that we have now about how this stuff works, I can't say for sure that we would have predicted the fall of the towers a year later. Okay. But the way God works is that hindsight is 20/20. So when you show what they had already predicted before it happened, that's supposed to build your faith. It's supposed to show you who the enemy is, so that you can get away from the enemy, stop believing the enemy, and run to the arms of Jesus. And so that's why we do the hindsight on this channel. This is why we're not feverishly trying to predict the future, because that's forbidden anyway, right? Now, some people tell me, well, Casey, that doesn't apply to God's prophets. But I ain't no prophet, okay? I just follow in his will, and whatever appears to show up as something that hasn't happened yet because of our work, then that glory goes to the Most High. I'm not going to, claim the fame, so to speak. And if it happens, it happens. And it has happened, hasn't it? Things that we've been talking about, then manifesting. Prime example, today's show. The fungicide that just happened in California. And this whole mind control aspect to this. Now, let's keep going here.
Stay indoors. Easy, Mercy. What are you doing out here, boy?
There's a fungus that infects insects, gets inside an ant, for example. Viruses can make us ill, but fungi can alter our very minds, travels through its circulatory system to the ant's brain, and then floods it with hallucinogens, thus bending the ant's mind.
Now, this isn't the first fungus movie that we've done, hasn't it? We did several fungus movies. Random movies that you selected for me to decode. Now you're seeing how you're all part of this. You're all part of the body of, disclosing the stuff and disarming it and helping more and more people wake up to this. How many fungus movies have we done? Probably 3 or 4. There's one that comes to mind where didn't they stick the fungus with a blue pen? What was the name of that movie? The guy's name was there was a guy named Casey in the film.
That was the faculty. And before that, we did The Privilege, which was about a fungus infecting an ant's brain, which is what he just said in The Last of Us. So the theme is repeating.
And it was about a high school. You guys remember that? And then there was a different fungus movie that we did as well. So this is a thing now. And it may be the next frontier in what these people have planned. Some kind of bioweapon that they're working on that is starting to affect more and more people. So you just heard them explain there the hive aspect to this zombie disease. So then at some point in the series, they start to establish these safe zones where the uninfected congregate. But from time to time, infected people stumble inside, but they don't know they're sick yet. And so when they do a test on them, and once they test them and figure out if they're sick or not, they euthanize them with a shot. Kill them with a shot. Watch.
Daddy,
We don't know. They're saying it's a virus, some kind of parasite.
is it from terrorists?
We don't know.
It's going to be a little tickle right here. We gave you some medicine. We're going to find you your favorite food to eat and toy.
So this little girl stumbles in, she's infected, and they give her a shot.
It's just a little needle. It's okay.
And then they throw her in the fire. Now, everybody is going nuts about this series.
So remember, the fire is how you kill the fungus and the mold. That's in the Bible. Let's keep watching.
It wasn't even that good of a series. I'm only on the second episode, but everybody's going nuts about this. They're like, this is so good. Such a good series. I guess 2 of the actors, the guy you just saw throw that girl in the fire, he was in Game of Thrones. And then there's another actress who plays like a girl king in Game of Thrones, also appears in the series. And it's HBO, and so everyone's going nuts about it. But it's not even that well done. But what befuddles me is how everyone is simply ignoring the programming here. People watch this stuff for entertainment. They don't even realize that they're watching their future. Now, as you guys know, I like to look at the details of all this stuff. We zoom in on things. We see things that nobody else sees. Now, we all know that fungus grows in your body from a high sugar diet. Every woman knows that your gynecologist will tell you if you have a fungal infection that it feeds off of sugar, right? Now, I've spoken to many of you who are experiencing a new phenomenon in human illness: mold infections. Now, this used to be rare, and it only used to be seen in highly immunocompromised individuals. But now it seems that many, many more of you are coming down with symptoms of this. Many times it presents with chronic sinusitis followed by visible black chunks coming out of your mucus. And people who have this kind of infection, they claim, if it's a woman, it claims that it throws off their monthly cycle. It could also interfere with digestion and can cause mental issues, confusion, lack of concentration. Now, what makes this thing insidious is that doctors don't want to diagnose this condition. They only treat symptoms, or they'll throw antibiotics at you, which can make it worse. And oftentimes your family and friends don't believe you when you try to show them or explain it to them. They think you're crazy. The doctors say, oh, that's just, do you work in a garden or something? Are you a gardener? Because that's just dust in your mucus. This is what they tell you. And you're like, no, do I look like a gardener to you? So I'm dedicating this show to those of you who are suffering from this, and the people that don't believe you and don't support you in your life to help you get better. Now, what else happens with these mold infections is that people become highly allergic and sensitive to any mold in their environment. Now, mold is all around us. Most of us can process it. Our bodies process it and it goes away. But for those of you that are sensitive to it, you become highly agitated when mold is present at your home or at work. Many of you have even tried to hire mold abatement services. I'm sure that those people are making a killing right now, tearing out drywall and all these things. Now, the origins of this mold infection that many of you are suffering from is likely something that is not clearly understood. I don't even claim to understand where this is coming from. Is it environmental? Is it something in our own bodies? But those of you who I've spoken to who are dealing with this, you have my prayers, and this show is dedicated to you. Now, if any of you are experiencing what I just described, I'm going to go into the chat right here and allow you guys the opportunity to share your testimony. Why? Why is it important to share your testimony?
Okay, so I'll put a link to the playlist, and so you guys can finish watching that later if you'd like. But that's what we had on the mold in The Last of Us. And as you can see, that was the very first season of The Last of Us, but we were already doing decodes on mold before The Last of Us ever came out. So then, of course, The Last of Us went down in infamy as one of the top TV shows ever. Predictive programming of our future. It wasn't soon after that that the CDC came out and said that there was a mold epidemic, mold and fungus. Wow. So anyway, hopefully that show was helpful for you guys. I'm in the chat for a little bit. We're back in 2026. What are your guys' thoughts on all of this? Some of you have had Morgellons. I'm wondering now if Morgellons is a type of fungus or mold. Okay. Casey, develop some mold healing videos. We heal by our own prophecies, silver, copper, peptides. Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. And this is where, this is the power of the group, where you guys can suggest things to each other, right? Things that have worked for you. Yes, UV light. Gosh, I wonder if maybe a tanning bed with UV light would kill it. Something like that. Again, I don't know. I've never tried any of this. The Bible says if your house is full of mold, you clean it and it grows back. You're supposed to burn it down. But obviously, we can't burn ourselves, right? You could increase your temperature in your body. Maybe going into a sauna. I don't know, you guys. I just don't know. UV kills mold. Yes, we do know that. Vitamin D and sunlight. Garlic. Someone says Morgellons is fungal. He's on YouTube. All right, you guys. Well, put any other suggestions you have in the comments section, because that will help someone. You could literally be helping to save someone's life. There are people out there actively searching for answers to their ailments. And one of the reasons why we do these kinds of shows is to help as many people as possible, because you're not going to find answers out there, by going through the typical avenues of what they tell you, So we have to rely on each other. And of course, pray about it and ask God to guide you to healing and help you to heal. Maybe he can do it supernaturally, right? That's the first thing we should probably do. And then after that, there used to be cures to all this stuff, right? The Bible says no weapon shall prosper. So there is an answer. There is a cure out there. The truth is out there, as they say. But the devil has hidden it from us because he wants us to suffer so that we curse God. That's what he wants us to do. That's the end game. When you're suffering and you feel like God has abandoned you or isn't helping you, that's when people turn against God. And that's what he's trying to get people to do. Just like with Job, right? But understand, if you are under attack, there is a spiritual battle going on in heaven for your soul, just like it was for Job, right? So we're supposed to rejoice that we have been chosen to prove the devil wrong. And your crown is in heaven. So don't give up if you're going through stuff like this. Don't give up. I love each and every one of you. Have a great rest of your day. Much love. Take care, you guys.